delicious dish we're making today. Roast pheasant with peas, bacon, baby shallots and salsify. Right, so Gary's got the pheasant in the oven cooking. And while that's cooking, we're going to prepare this little garnish. And a delicious garnish it is. Some stuff that you guys probably haven't used before or even eaten. But salsify is beautiful, and that's the first step. We're going to prepare the salsify. Salsify is a root vegetable. It's also known as goat's beard, hence the, yeah? Easy to find? Not really. I mean, you need to go to your special little, you know, markets to find this. Quite an interesting vegetable. It's got quite similar characteristics to parsnip. And when it's in season, right now, it's delicious. But there's a certain technique in preparing this vegetable because it goes brown very, very quickly. So to help me make that, Aaron, step on up and let's play. Thank you. Right, Aaron, come on in, man. I'm going to show you how to prepare one and then you can do the rest. Basically, you need some acidulated water first. So lemon juice will be fine. You can use vinegar. Plain tap water's fine. Doesn't need to be cold. Definitely not hot, that's for sure. Now, to prepare the salsify, you basically need to just first remove it from the root because these are the bits that we want. Okay, so we've got plenty of that. The next step is to peel the salsify. If I'm peeling something, I'll always peel on a tray. Why? So I can pick the tray up, discard the rubbish, my chopping board's nice and clean. Okay, so your bowl of acidulated water right there, your peeler, your tray, and then just in one motion, you've got to peel basically the skin off, and you want to keep the shape of the salsify. All right? Straight into the water. All right? Your turn, man.
Okay.
Aaron, have you ever seen anything like this before?
I haven't, but I am a big fan of parsnips, so okay. If it tastes like that, I'd be a big fan of salsify.
Has anyone used salsify before? No? While you're peeling that, Aaron, the next step is really important. I'm going to show you a real classic technique to cook something like that. It's called cooking something in a blanc, classic French technique to make something white, all right? Because if you don't cook it like that, it will end up being brown. I've got about 500 mils of water and I've got some plain flour. And basically, I turn the gas on and I rain in some of this flour to create, it's quite odd, but like a little slurry. And what that's going to do is protect the salsify from turning brown. So about to 500 mils of water, about a half a cup of flour. And, of course, some lemon juice. About half a lemon. And you can throw the whole lot in there. Cool, man. I think that should be heaps.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Aaron's done a great job in peeling the salsify. The next step is to just trim them up ready for presentation. So, I mean, look, I love these bits because they're quite natural. So I'm not going to really fuss around with those pieces. But these are a tad too long. So I'll just cut them on an angle. And they all can go straight into the blanc. And then we pop a little cartouche over the top. Just to make sure they don't come up. And we'll just pop this on low heat and gently cook them. Right, the next step is to prepare the black garlic. And I'm not sure if many of you have seen it before, but this black garlic is absolutely beautiful. They basically take garlic and they ferment it at a high heat, so at about 120 degrees for about 3 weeks. The flavour's quite interesting. It sort of turns it into this sort of caramel, sort of molasses flavour and doesn't need much cooking at all. Literally in a pan, a little bit of butter, and it's beautiful. It also makes the most amazing puree. It's delicious stuff, really delicious. Jimmy, do you want to come and have a little taste?
Yes.
Here, maybe take some back and give it to the others. There you go. What are you tasting?
It's actually quite sweet. Some of the sugars are still in there, but it's got that garlic taste to it, but it's sort of halfway between roasted and like a balsamic flavour to it, almost to it, because that's the sugar part I can taste.
Exactly right.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah. Quite nice.
Oh, interesting texture, isn't it? Can you smell it?
So for this recipe, we probably need about 8 to 9 cloves of the black garlic. I'm just going to check the salsify to see if it's cooked. If a knife goes through it, it's cooked. It's always good to leave salsify cool down in the blanc, all right? So you can have this pre-made, cool it down, leave it in the fridge, and as you need some, you pull it out, all right? And it'll keep it nice and white. Right, the next step is to cook our little dish. Nice heavy based frying pan, some olive oil in the pan, a little bit of butter as well. Okay, we throw our peeled shallots in, golden shallots that we've just quartered. Next is we've got this flat pancetta. That's absolutely beautiful. And we've just cut them into lardons, yeah? Lardons is basically when you take a cross-section of the pancetta, you end up with meat, fat, meat, fat, meat and fat. About a half a cup of lardon. The next ingredient that's going to go in is the salsify. I'm just going to drain it on the paper towel just to get rid of any of that excess moisture. And we'll just pop that in. These won't take very long to cook. All we really want to do is get some colour on them. Right, we've already cooked them in that blanc, the water and the flour mixture. Right, we're just going to let this saute for a few minutes, get some nice colour, bleed the fat out of that lardon because that's got so much flavour. And then we're going to come back and finish it off with the peas, the cos and the garlic.
Next on Masterclass.
Get all that tarragon, you know, the lemon. Look at this lemon.
Gary and George put the finishing touches on their fabulous roast pheasant.
Tuck in, guys. Did you get some of that black garlic?
The pheasant is cooked to perfection.
Pheasant's been in the oven for about 14 minutes. So when you test this, you want to feel it at the plumpest part of the bird, right? So essentially that's the thickest part, which is down at the bottom of the breast. And when you push your fingers in, it should bounce back a little, okay? And of course, basting is really important. So even right at the end, I just make sure that it's basted, you know, it's shiny, it's moist, you know, and it looks beautiful. So we're going to give that a rest. We're going to give it a rest for 5, just so it draws through and all the temperature equalises throughout the flesh.
The salsify, bacon and shallots have been sautéing off. It smells absolutely beautiful. The next step is to pop the black garlic in. Because that garlic's already fermented, it's cooked. I don't need to pop that in first. If I pop it in first, it will go mushy. Aaron, question?
Yeah, obviously black garlic is really unique and has a taste all of its own. If you were wanting to make this at home and didn't have access to something like that, what would you suggest that people put in instead?
Roasting your garlic whole in the oven over salt and thyme is just delicious. At this point, I've really got some lovely caramel flavours happening in the pan. I'm just going to deglaze with a little bit of chicken stock, lift the flavour up, because what we're going to create is, yes, the vegetable garnish to go with Gary's pheasant, but also a bit of sauciness there. So I'm just going to glaze the bottom of the pan. Oh, it smells beautiful. Salsify and thyme is like basil and tomatoes, okay? So a few little thyme sprigs. We've reduced that chicken stock down and you can see it's created this wonderful little sauce, right? We're going to add a little bit of creme fraiche. If you haven't got creme fraiche, you know, a couple tablespoons of cream's nice, but I just love creme fraiche because it's got that sort of sourness. It's not so thick and gluggy that as cream can be. And we'll just melt that through. That's just going to add a really wonderful sort of creamy texture to the dish. The next step is some peas. And yes, I'm using frozen peas. Nothing wrong with them, okay? They're snap frozen from picking, and I think they're a fantastic commodity. Okay. The final thing to go in is the cos hearts. And it's basically baby cos. Peel off the leaves and you're left with these beautiful little hearts that are bitter and flavoursome, and they're lovely cooked. A lot of people think you can't cook lettuce, but lettuce braised is absolutely delicious. And I'll just pop them in right at the last minute because they don't need much cooking at all. And then leave the lid on so that cos just takes a little bit of heat, and that's ready to go with Gary's pheasant.
So I've flicked the heat back on the pan, and I'm just going to put in a little bit of butter just to baste it and make this nice and shiny. And also to reinforce the tarragon flavour, I'm just going to put some tarragon into the pan. Now remember, I put the bones in there just to illustrate the caramelisation and the sort of flavour that you would end up with if you wanted to make a gravy or a jus. And this smells beautiful. I can get all that tarragon.
Oh, yum.
You know, the lemon, you can see the lemon's just caramelised. Look at this lemon. Look at that. And we've got all that flavour of the tarragon and the garlic under the skin. We'll lift this out, and then we can carve. So as I say, you can drain that and deglaze that. That would be gorgeous. So let's carve. So what we want to do is we want to put the knife in right along that breastbone. So through the joint. And that's pretty much perfect, George. There's a little tad of pink on there.
No, that's beautiful.
This is not like chicken, okay? And if you overcook it, it's going to be absolutely dry. So see that little bit of, it's just cooked there, just cooked. That's absolutely perfect, that's what you want. So we'll just trim that.
Yum. Right, pop this garnish on. So, a little bit of this cos down first. Salsify on. Garlic.
That looks absolutely gorgeous. That's our roasted pheasant with peas, bacon,